I've always believed that trust is the foundation of love. That's what I used to tell myself every morning when I looked at Emily. We'd been married 7 years, built a home that smelled like coffee and Sunday pancakes, and still shared the same inside jokes from our college days. Or so I thought. It started small, like most storms do. Late-night calls labeled work emergencies. New perfume I hadn't seen before. Laughter that died the moment I walked into the room. I noticed, but I didn't accuse. That's not who I am. I've always been calm, maybe too calm for my own good. Emily worked in marketing, long hours, constant networking. I admired her drive. She'd built herself from nothing, and I never wanted to be the insecure husband who clips his wife's wings. But lately, she'd been flying higher, farther, and without me. Last Thursday, she said she had a business dinner. Her tone was casual, but her eyes betrayed a flicker, something between guilt and calculation. I asked, "Where's it being held?" She hesitated, then smiled too fast. "The Carlton downtown. Big client. Don't wait up." I nodded, pretending it didn't sting. I tried to focus on the game on TV that night, but every commercial break turned into an argument inside my head. By 9 p.m., I'd convinced myself she was fine. By 10, doubt whispered otherwise. By 11, that whisper was a roar. Her location had always been on our shared app, not because I didn't trust her, but because we both liked to keep track of each other's safety. But when I opened it that night, my chest tightened. The Carlton Hotel, room 8 on 12, not the restaurant. The rooms, I froze. For a minute, I told myself it had to be a mistake. Maybe the meeting ran late and they rented a conference space upstairs. Maybe. But then the image of her laugh, tight, rehearsed, hollow, flashed through my mind, and something inside me cracked. I didn't drive there. I didn't call. I didn't storm in like the jealous men in movies. Instead, I sat there staring at her location dot and remembered every time she'd told me, "You're too sensitive, Daniel. Stop overthinking." I wasn't overthinking now. I was seeing at 11:42 p.m. I typed a message. Just one sentence. "Tell your client I hope the meeting's worth what it'll cost you." I didn't send it right away. My thumb hovered above send while my heart hammered against my ribs. Then I pressed it and turned off my phone. The silence that followed was louder than any argument we'd ever had. Around midnight, the front door opened. I didn't move. I just listened. The clatter of her heels stopped in the hallway. Then her voice, shaky, unsure, "Daniel?" I didn't answer. She walked into the living room, hair slightly out of place, phone still in her hand. Her face was pale. "Why would you text me that?" I looked at her finally and said nothing. She swallowed hard. You're misunderstanding. It was just a meeting. In a hotel suite. For privacy. That's all." Her words stumbled over themselves. I didn't accuse. I didn't shout. I simply asked, "Who's the client?" She hesitated, blinked, looked down. When she spoke, her voice was barely audible. "You don't know him." That was the moment I realized the truth wasn't hiding anymore. It was standing in front of me, terrified. I got up, walked past her, and said quietly, "I hope he's worth what we built." Her hand brushed my arm as I passed. "Daniel, please. Don't jump to conclusions." I stopped at the doorway. "I'm not jumping. I'm landing," her breath caught. I left the room before she could answer. That night, I didn't sleep in our bed. I lay on the couch, staring at the ceiling fan, replaying every smile that now felt scripted. Every "I love you" that sounded like cover fire for guilt. By morning, her side of the bed was untouched. The next morning, the house felt hollow. The smell of her perfume still lingered in the hallway, a faint trace of something that used to feel like home. My phone buzzed a few times, but I didn't check it. I already knew what the messages would say. Excuses first, then apologies, then silence. At 8:07 a.m., she walked into the kitchen, eyes swollen from tears, makeup barely covering the damage. She didn't sit, just stood there clutching her coffee mug like a lifeline. "Daniel, please. Can we talk?" I nodded slowly. "Talk," she exhaled, voice trembling. "It wasn't what you think. We were meeting a potential investor. He asked to discuss a private proposal. I didn't realize he'd booked a room instead of a meeting hall. When I saw the message, I panicked because it looked bad." Her words were carefully stacked like a tower built on sand. I didn't interrupt her. Silence had become my new weapon. Then she added softly, "I came straight home. Nothing happened." I looked at her, Really looked. For years, I'd known every shift in her tone, every twitch in her jaw when she lied about small things. Late lunches, forgotten calls. And this was the same twitch, just dressed up in fear. I don't need an explanation, Emily, I said quietly. I just need honesty. She blinked rapidly. You think I'd cheat on you? I shrugged. I think you've been somewhere else for a long time. Last night just drew the map. She put her mug down too hard. You always do this, twist everything into some moral test. You're so calm it's suffocating. I smiled faintly. Better than being careless, that hit her. I could see it in the way her shoulders slumped. For a long minute, neither of us spoke. The only sound was the clock ticking, a metronome counting down to the end of something sacred. Finally, she whispered, I made a mistake. Which one? I asked. The meeting or the lies that led to it? Her lips trembled. Both. It wasn't anger that filled me then, it was grief. Quiet, heavy grief that doesn't shout or curse. It just settles in your bones and stays there. I stood up. I'm not going to fight you, Emily. I'm not going to beg for honesty either. You already chose your side the moment you stopped caring if I noticed. She stepped forward, desperate. Daniel, please. We can fix this. I'll quit. No, I said, shaking my head. You can't fix something you broke by pretending it never cracked. Her tears fell fast now, staining the floor between us. I was scared. You've been distant, buried in work, and I wanted to feel wanted again. There it was, the truth, raw and unpolished. And yet it didn't soften me. It only made everything clearer. I get it, I said. But instead of talking to me, you looked for validation somewhere that didn't ask for your soul. And now you've lost the one place you could have been forgiven. She reached for my hand, but I stepped back. Daniel, please. Don't walk away. I'm not walking away, I said quietly. I'm letting go. Her sob broke something in the room, like air finally giving up. I went upstairs, packed a small bag, nothing dramatic. Just the essentials. A few shirts, my watch, and the wedding band that no longer meant what it used to. I left it on the dresser next to her perfume bottle. Before leaving, I turned once more toward her. She was sitting on the couch, shoulders shaking, phone in her lap, the same phone that had betrayed her secrets and now looked like a mirror she couldn't face. Emily, I said softly. She looked up, eyes red. You'll tell people I overreacted, that I didn't listen. Maybe you'll even start to believe it. But deep down, you'll remember last night. Not for the message I sent, but for the way it made your heart stop. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. I opened the door, the morning light spilling in like judgment, and walked out. As I drove away, the city felt different, emptier, quieter, honest. For the first time in months, my chest didn't feel tight. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't broken. I was free. They say closure comes when you forgive someone. I think closure comes when you stop needing their version of the story. That night, I deleted our shared location app and turned off my phone again. Not to punish her, just to give both of us the silence we'd been avoiding. Somewhere out there in that same hotel, maybe another business meeting was beginning. But that wasn't my story anymore. Mine ended the moment she panicked. Not because I caught her, but because she realized she'd finally lost the one person who never yelled, never accused, never needed proof to walk away.